Welcome back to CLIC Connect. I'm your host, Craig. We got a very special show for you today. We're going to be talking about hospitality internships, and we've got the right group for that. We've got Dr. Suzanne Bagnera. We've got Timothy Flohr, Lisa Cain, and Anna Blue with H&LA. So let's bring everybody out. Lisa, welcome. Tim, welcome. Anna, hello. And Dr. Producer Suzanne. How is everybody today?
Wonderful. Great.
Doing great. Thank you.
Very good. Lisa, let's kick it off with you. If you would introduce yourself to the audience, please.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Craig, for having us on today. My name is Dr. Lisa Cain. I am an associate professor at the Chaplin School of Hospitality and Tourism Management at Florida International University, and I am one of the co-founders of HospitalityInternships.com.
Yep.
All right, Tim Flohr. I am an associate professor of teaching at the University of Memphis at the Kemmons Wilson School of Hospitality and Resort Management. And I, too, am one of the co-founders and managing partners of HospitalityInternships.com.
Nice. Dr. Producer Suzanne.
I feel like I get to play a different role today.
You do. You're a guest.
I know it's very hands off. I don't know what to do with myself. But as the producer of No Vacancy Live, that was one of my other hats. But I serve as the assistant professor for lodging at Florida International University's Chaplin School of Hospitality and Tourism Management. And effective as of this week, I am now officially the director of executive education. So I'm thrilled to be here with you all today.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Anna?
Yeah, hi. Well, congratulations, Suzanne. Anna Blue, I'm the president of the AHLA Foundation. We are the impact arm of the American Hotel and Lodging Association. So we support the workforce and the industry's people.
Wonderful. Thank you all for being here. Now, as most of the audience knows, we take a percentage of our gate from our annual California Lodging Investment Conference and give it back to our trade associations, such as H&LA, for their scholarship programs. I've been preaching for years that we're doing a horrible job at recruiting. We now have a tool, an opportunity to get interns, to improve your property, to improve your company, improve our industry. So let's dive right into it. Tim, I want to start with you. Hospitality internships. Tell us about this. How did this come to be, please?
Well, hospitality internships came about over the past few years. I was the internship coordinator at the University of Memphis at our hospitality management school. And it was really difficult trying to find and match students with quality internship opportunities. So, a lot of companies say that they want interns, but unfortunately, a lot of times that's, they're looking for labor savers and they don't have really good internship opportunities within their organizations or a structured internship program. So, what I found myself doing is helping the firms themselves create their internship program, add structure to that, and then in essence playing matchmaker with the students in our program, which I'm sure a lot of internship coordinators across the globe have that same thing happen, because we would get maybe 10 or 12 emails or calls a week from employers looking for interns. So over the years, I've got together with Lisa and a few other people at conferences and started discussing what can we do to help make this a little bit easier for students and for programs to be able to promote these opportunities to students. So it took about a year and a half in the making, but we launched in July 2023, and Hospitality Internships was born. So we connect students from over 1,100 different hospitality, tourism, and culinary arts schools with internships, and they have to be paid internships, management training opportunities, entry-level management positions, and we just added apprenticeships on, working with the Department of Labor here in Tennessee and across the U.S. adding that category on as well. So our whole goal being to help transition students and individuals into the hospitality industry, more of a seamless transition there, and hopefully good quality opportunities for them await.
I love it. I'm one of these people that was a happy accident. I was working in other commercial real estate ventures and fell into hospitality, I'm going to say close to 30 years ago at this point. Now, my feeling being a deal person, this is the brightest and the best industry. And I've been preaching for years that we've done a horrible job at recruiting, and that if I ever meet Oliver Stone, I'm going to slap him for putting Wall Street out, because we don't all have to go to Wall Street to make money. You can have a career in hospitality. Two of my favorite examples are Tom Gachet and W. Chris Green. They both started as hourly employees and worked their way through. You can make this a career and do really, really well. So, Lisa, how do you get that message out? Because I think that's been a huge gap of late, not getting that out, that you can take this from being an hourly doorman or a bar back or a dishwasher and run a company one day.
Well, I think part of it is in what you just mentioned, right? This was a happy accident for you. It was an accidental career for me as well. And I think that happens a lot in our industry. People take a job as a server or at the front desk of a hotel as sort of a summer job or a job to help supplement their college funds. And all of a sudden they realize they have a passion for this industry and it's something that they want to stay in, right? And so part of the goal is to reach our hospitality students before they get to college at the high school level or early on in their college careers, so that they can make the active choice to informedly be in our industry and really find their career paths and trajectories. And so we do that through marketing, we do that through social media, we do that through different organizational outreaches. And so that's really how we're pushing our message forward. And that's part of the goal of hospitality internships, is to reach students so that they choose a career in hospitality, not so that they happen into a career in hospitality.
It's funny. We've got Atlas Hospitality Group is the market leader in hotel brokerage in the Golden State of California. They've been friends and clients of mine for over 25 years. Just a great firm. They had an intern program, and they went to our friend Carl down in San Diego, pulled a couple of people out. One of them is now their top broker, and he was at the hotel school in San Diego going a different path and fell into the brokerage side of it. And I love these stories where there's that change in direction that all of a sudden ignites a passion within you to do something more. I'm getting a little tired of the word that everything has to be an experience, because if you look back at it, everything is an experience anyhow. Okay. Mm-hmm. But we're responsible for people's safety, their comfort, a good night's sleep, hopefully a few beverages and something good to eat in the hotel. So it's really a profession where you can work. I think there's no better time than right now for advancement. So, Dr. Producer Suzanne, how are you filling those gaps? How are you getting people from higher learning institutions into a career with some of, whether it's a brand or a management company or an ownership group? Let's pick on those three for the time being.
There's so many opportunities, right? Well, I would say from Florida International University's perspective, we are blessed to be able to actually have a sample, and I mean a large sample, like over 50 employers that will come to our career fair. Our career fair this year happens to be on Halloween. And it's not just a spooky festival, but it's an opportunity to break down some of those barriers and meet those individuals. And I think backing to Tim's point earlier, The smaller institutions definitely have a harder challenge because they're not able to attract those larger companies that a student may or may not be interested in. And so this then becomes that conduit or that opportunity, especially when a faculty member sees the potential in a student and knows that there are additional opportunities. This becomes a tool in their toolbox so that they can help guide those students to find additional opportunities more than just right outside the backyard. I like to meet with my students and say, do you have any family members anywhere else other than right here where you live? Because that can always be a great opportunity where you can go stay with an aunt and an uncle or an older sibling or grandparents and take advantage of having that experience somewhere else, because it helps them inform and we talk about wanting to find their trajectory, and sometimes it does happen that they find an aspect of the industry that they don't necessarily like when they thought they did, but that internship has the opportunity to steer them into a different direction or expose them into something else they had never even thought of in their course room experience. And that's what I love about these types of opportunities.
All I can say is you are so lucky that Glenn Hausman and I aren't flying into town on Halloween for your job fair. That's all I'm going to say. Anna, AHLA is our champion.
Yes.
On so many different fronts. How are you working with hospitality internships? How are you getting that messaging out? I mean, we've got, especially in the other communities, we've got second and third generations now coming into the hotel business. How are you and AHLA doing with this?
Yeah, so I mean, honestly, just a truly proud partner with Hospitality Internships. Feel really fortunate that Tim and Lisa came to us and said we want to partner with the foundation. And I think we sit in a unique position where we have a number of affiliated colleges and universities and hospitality programs that we work with. We also have our massive, AHLA membership of all of the individual members, independents, brands, owners, management companies, all of that. So we just have this network, and it was a great opportunity to say, yes, the industry needs this. We need this for students. It's a great bridge. I think there are so many missing pieces to why we're seeing young people not want to study hospitality, but also once they do, not necessarily coming to our industry or thinking of our industry as the right path. And so this as a bridge, I think is really incredible. And I'm excited to see, we're kind of in kickoff and pilot this year, but really growing and seeing where we can bring more folks into the fold, I think is really important.
I love it. I couldn't agree more with you. I want to touch on something with academia. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I do think that new students coming into the program, that number's decreased. So I think we're having a harder time getting people enrolled into the hotel schools across the nation. Am I right or wrong on that?
Yes,
You're
for the
right.
most part, almost all of the academic institutions are definitely seeing a challenging component of decline. And it's not just within the hospitality aspect. You have to keep in mind that our population and our captive audience of that student caliber size that's going to head to school has also reduced. So you have a fewer amount of students, and then you compound that with students are now looking at what their education is like at being different than what we may have been more traditionally accustomed to, associate's degree or bachelor's degree. And so now even the component of micro credentials are coming into play where they almost want to test it out a little bit more. And as AI continues to advance, I can consider seeing additional challenges in that landscape that we are all going to have, because you can get a degree from ChatGPT now, right?
Pretty much.
Please. Don't get me going on that. Lisa, what are your thoughts?
I would just echo what Suzanne said. I think we have quite a few challenges in academia in general at the university level and recruiting students across the board. Hospitality isn't the only field that is seeing reduced numbers of students, as Suzanne said. And I think we're also seeing a proliferation of career choices that are not yet being taught in academia. And so the universities need to catch up to what's going on in terms of social aptitude and certain platforms that we might be able to help inform students as to how to grow successful careers in these platforms. But we have to catch up to the industry in some regard. And so that's part of the challenge too. I mean, to Suzanne's point, there's ChatGPT. So how do we as professors and as a university leverage our understanding of AI to provide the student with something that they can then use in an informed way that isn't necessarily in a plagiaristic way, and that can help them in their careers to make our industries, whatever they may be, in this case hospitality, better. And so there is that disconnect.
Tim, your thoughts?
Well, with this industry, it's always been the case that there are no barriers to entry to get into this industry. So anybody could pick up and go into a hotel or go into a restaurant and get an entry-level position. And while there are no barriers to entry, there are barriers to advancement, though. So I think what education and higher ed has done over the past, few decades is really make it so, putting good educational materials out there, good programs, helping to get students ready with the professional certifications and getting them battle tested and ready to enter the industry and hit the ground running. Because there are barriers to advancement. And I know when I was coming up in the industry, there weren't a whole lot of supervisors and leaders that I had that went through hospitality management programs. They were all from other disciplines, accounting, economics, business, you name it. And so I think a multidisciplinary approach like we're doing now, when you're in a hospitality management program, you're taking accounting, you're taking, serve safe classes. So, pretty much operations and the business side of this. So, I'm excited to see it continue to grow. There's a lot of programs like Suzanne's doing a great job with at FIU with professional development with those already in industry and continuing to build their skill set and knowledge. So it's just an ever expanding industry. And as Lisa and Suzanne both said, the numbers are decreasing quite a bit across academia. So I think whatever we're doing here to help create a deeper pipeline for talent is so needed at this point.
Yeah, I just want to add, I think what's really brilliant about what JW Marriott Foundation has done at Howard University, they got rid of their hospitality degree program. People were no longer studying it. It was part of the business school. And now it's been about 20 years. And instead of bringing back a degree program, they created the Marriott Sorensen Center for Hospitality Leadership, which taps into students from every discipline. I have spoken at the school and I met students who are studying international business. They're studying finance and accounting. They're studying marketing and communications. They're across all disciplines. And what the center is doing is bringing them together and saying, you can do all of that in this industry and let me show you how, and let me make those connections for you. And I think they're looking to expand that to other schools as well. But I think that's what we have to do is be creative about how we're finding people who are in different degree disciplines and just never thought about this industry as an opportunity for them. Like, you can go to medical school and be a doctor and still come and work in our industry. Like, you can be a lawyer and there's a place for you. And people don't think of that. They think, oh, if I'm going to go in marketing and communications, they think of every industry but ours for some reason. And so how do we start to infiltrate? I think we have to think outside the box.
I agree with you. And luckily, I've spent the most of my career outside the box. I created a hotel practice for a national title insurance company. I ended up underwriting and closing nearly $25 billion worth of deals. Now, it was an outstanding team. I had a great boss, actually two bosses, and they hid me from corporate for a year. And while we were getting close to doing $1 billion in business, which no other group within the company had ever done, somebody in accounting or somebody figured out what was going on. Next thing I know, I've got a meeting. I've got, the brass coming in from Miami to California to talk to me, and everybody was like, "Uh-oh," you know. And I asked them. I said, "Well, what if I had asked for permission?" They said, "Oh, we would have said no." See, that's it. That's the problem.
Yeah.
I think also right now we've got some challenges. We've got what, 5 different generations all in the same workplace right now. We've got a lot of people such as myself. I'm getting ready to retire out. I've given up a pint of blood and a pound of flesh, for God and country numerous times. But how many more battles do we have? I think you look at the CEO picture. You see mass retirements all of a sudden. It's like, I don't want to go through another downturn, or I'm aging out, whatever it may be. But also we've got more Gen Xers right now in the workplace than we do boomers. So it's all shifting. I kind of feel like it's quicksand. And how are you guys adapting to all that? Jump ball, whoever wants to start.
I would say part of the challenge that I've started to see, especially after the pandemic, we had a lot of people exit by no fault of their own with business operations that closed.
Yeah.
And then they might have been towards that age where it was, well, here's another opportunity. This is a little bit normal, or a change in lifestyle that I'm used to. Some of those folks came back. Some of those folks opted to not return. We've been doing a very good job by working as partners between academics and between our industry and associations to bring on new folks. But we now, when we talk about this generational component, have this gap in learning and knowledge, and it's that leadership component. And so they're then struggling because they're getting promoted, but they don't have those knowledge, skills, and abilities behind them to support that with greater depth, to propel with a sense of really good quality success. And so for me, that's one of the areas from an executive education standpoint. How can we work towards supporting that to help bring the confidence to people and keep them within the industry?
There we go.
And I think
Lisa?
Sorry. I think
Go
that's
ahead,
also
Lisa.
where hospitality internships comes into play, because we offer these management and training programs and these other programs that facilitate those knowledge, skills, and aptitude acquisition, right? And it instills those soft skills that gives them the confidence to become leaders in the organization, right? So we're not just introducing them to hospitality, but if you think specifically about a management and training program, you're getting a little taste of all of the different areas within an organization. And so you can really choose which trajectory you'd like to pursue, and with the confidence that you've also sampled all of the other areas and what skill sets and soft skills are needed to really be successful in those areas. So it also works for the organization because you're investing in your employees, and the more that you put into them, the more training you put into them, the more they buy into the company and the more confidence they have to really pursue that career. So I think that's where these internships and these management and training programs really shine.
I agree. Tim?
Yeah, I think for one of the issues is everyone likes to complain about the workforce, and then the students or the new students coming on board, or new employees, that they don't know what they're doing, they're not motivated, things like that. Quite frankly, I don't see that from a lot of the students that we have. I do see where we have to step up and provide them that structure. I tell everybody, you're going to be asked to do a lot less with a lot more with a lot less in the future. You have to, if you're running a unit in a hotel or a restaurant, you are their HR, you're doing accounting, you're doing everything. So by being asked to do more with less, we need to prepare them for that and step up and do what we have to do. So that's why we try to align ourselves with good companies that have management training programs, have solid internship programs, because they get it. They understand that the workforce in the future, they have to do their part in preparing them. It's not just academia, either at FIU or University of Memphis, whatever, they're coming out prepared. We all need to work together on this. And that's what's going to help propel us into and help this next generation of leaders.
I agree with you, and I got to tell you, my producer Danny and another business associate that I brought in who does a lot of camera work for me, and also does some interviews for me. They completely turned me around on their generation, and it's not that they're lazy. And I think this is an age-old argument. Okay, I think I got hit with that. I'm the last part of the boomers. Okay, I really don't feel comfortable in that generation. But I was always told coming up when I was in my 20s, and there was probably a lot of good reasons that you're lazy, you don't do this, you don't do that. I just work differently. Okay. And I think that's the same argument. Now, and the younger generation tells the boomers that they're all psychopaths. So, I think both those arguments have to go away, and we've got to find a way of meshing, because you've got a lot of talented people out there that are aging out and they're going to retire. And this brain trust that we're going to lose is invaluable right now. So what is part of your mission statement with Hospitality Internships to specifically tackle that?
Our whole mission is connecting education and industry. That's what it boils down to. Everyone's been talking for years about industry and academia and building that bridge and any other statement, any other saying you want to derive from that. But that's really what we're doing. In many ways, you have academia and education that used to be in one world and industries in another, and they didn't really mesh very well. But I think over time, we've come a long way with hospitality education in both education and higher ed, and we're really starting to see that. And hopefully, what we're doing is helping to bridge that a little bit better. And we have an academic advisory committee, which Suzanne is on, as well as 80 other educators from across the globe. And then we have an industry advisory committee that we're building up and bringing them together and saying, what can we do to bring everyone to the table, figure out what we need to do, how to build stronger internship programs, management training programs, and get students, better prepared for the future.
I love
Having been on those advisory board meetings, Craig, adding some context there, I think it's a good dynamic of conversation where Tim doesn't know the answers to everything. Lisa doesn't know the answers to everything. They're both really great and brilliant minds on trying to find the solutions. But having these advisors, I think, has helped both of them tap into areas and opportunities that they didn't think were possible, and bringing things together and making those connections with Anna and AHLA, because we've had these conversations, and they're the branch that's actually making it happen and bringing the people together. And that's what is really exciting about this venture.
I love it. I love it. Anna, AHLA, corporate commitment. You guys are all in. How are you helping with hospitality internships to get more corporate commitment out there?
Yeah. So, and I think, as I said, this year has definitely been a learning year, and there's certainly a lot more that we can do. We have access to a lot of the corporate market in the industry, but it is saturated with this policy is happening, and this legislation was introduced, and that's going to take out the industry in New York, and this is what's happening in Boston, and here's what's happening on the federal level, and now their president is talking about resort fees. And so there's the AHLA policy fires that are happening on a daily basis. And then there's the 12 different programs that the foundation runs across the board, from anti-trafficking to our academic scholarships and everything in between. And so I think that as we are launching a stakeholder engagement strategy, we have somebody in that role now to really look at the messages that we're putting out and who we're putting them out to and how they're being received. And so I think we have an opportunity going into that to really double down on our partnership with Hospitality Internships and make sure that we are getting this opportunity to the right people, because we can blast it out on a listserv to 30,000 people, but if those aren't actually the right people, there might be the right companies, but they're not necessarily the right people. So tapping into AHLA's HR committee has been really great. We have a career development committee. So there's a number of channels that we have and really making sure we're getting the right message out at the right time.
Love it.
Yeah.
Students, tools, employers, tools. I love toolboxes. I got a garage full of them. No, I'm kidding. But I really love toolboxes. This is a great tool for everybody. Could you give us a little bit of, jump ball, whoever wants to start, and then we'll just go around the room. How are the students finding this, and how are ultimately the companies that are coming to you looking for interns, how are they finding this toolbox? How are they and this is going to throw in your website and everything else. So let's jump into that, please.
Well, as you know, it's tough with any new startup when you have a dual acquisition strategy and you have like a two-sided marketplace and getting students on the site and employers. So we've really, when we started it in July 2023, we starting with nothing. Luckily, we had a lot of connections, Lisa and I, Suzanne, with a lot of people from academia. So we started building up our academic advisory committee. Again, it's like over 80 educators now from 70 plus different schools. So but from that, it's they're going on this site, what jobs are there? So luckily we were able to connect, initially taking quality over quantity, like with MGM International, Encore Global, Charborough Hospitality. We have a new spot, which I can't say just yet, but coming out this week with 1,000+ new internships and management training programs. But it's that balancing act between students and jobs. So, but that's how we did it. We building up the academic advisory committee, building up our industry advisory committee, being transparent and honest with everybody, telling people and companies coming on board, we're brand new, we're a startup. We're not going to be able to fulfill all your staffing needs right now. But if our commitment is, and we're growing at a solid rate, and for the future, it's going to be a great partnership for us if we come on board with us early, and some really good quality companies have done that.
Nice. I couldn't ask for a better segue. I was going to ask now, and Lisa, if you could, how has the internship growth been for 2024 since you launched in 2023?
Well, we've brought on 30 organizations so far, which we're really proud of, and they all offer paid internships, management and training programs, and more. And like Tim said, we have 11,000 schools, 1,100 schools. Sorry. 1,100 schools. Sorry, 1,100 schools participating.
But it feels like 11,000 because there's that many kids.
But I think the benefit
that was good
provides is it's free to the students. It's free for academics and students to join and participate in. We know how cumbersome an education can be. Yeah. And we know that many hospitality students are either supporting their young families or their old families or both, or themselves. Many are first generation college students. And so part of our goal is really to make sure that we can facilitate these connections when the schools can't, or to supplement what the schools can already do. So FIU can bring in 50 different companies into our career day on Halloween, but maybe there's an organization in Canada that they can't bring in that we have access to, or somewhere in Tennessee that they don't necessarily have a partnership with, but we have online students who live in Tennessee but are taking classes at FIU. And with this proliferation of online education especially, we're finding more and more that having access for students to organizations across the country and the globe is really beneficial, mostly for the small schools, but also for the larger institutions.
Love it. How many internships are you hoping to have in 2025?
Well, that's tough to say. Like I said, we have some companies coming on board now, and we've been averaging 30% growth month to month with the students coming on, and a new company coming on, which I can't say just yet, but you'll find out in the next week. bringing thousands of new internships and management training programs on board. So hopefully we'll be able to facilitate, and knowing that not every student's looking for an internship, we're actually in quite a position where we're meeting students for internships while they're in school, but also as they're graduating, the training programs and the entry-level management positions, but the apprenticeships as well, which is just opening up. And a lot of states and the Department of Labor is investing heavily in that because the industry needs everybody right now.
Right.
So we're excited by bringing that on board, which just came about recently. But it all comes from what Suzanne said earlier, our partnerships. Knowing that Lisa and I are, when we started this, we knew we had to tap into the brightest, people out there. So, which is why we started these advisory committees. Every relationship and partnership that we've built, starting with AHLA back in February, March, and has grown. So we've brought on several different states, California, for example, Tennessee, Colorado, Texas this week. So it's a multi-level partnership strategy that we have, where we're getting national, statewide, and then local level down to CVB level and tourism agencies. So we're really hitting pretty much every facet of that across the U.S. So with that, I could project a number for 2025. It probably wouldn't be close, but I guess we could just say it's hopefully as many as possible.
Good answer. I like that. Let's keep that upbeat.
I want 11,000 students, so
You got it.
Careful what you wish for. How can I help you, and how can other industry leaders help with this?
I guess I'll take this. Lisa, you want to?
go for it.
Okay. By partnering with us, by being one of our corporate sponsors, coming on board and being part of our industry advisory committee, just getting involved. And if you don't have an internship program at your establishment, we partner with a company, Intern Bridge, which is a small boutique company that helps companies build internship programs. So, getting on board with us, and we sponsor that for you with one of our packages, and just getting it out there and sharing your opportunities with us, and we'll blast it out to everyone that we can and work with you every step of the way to help fill some of your staffing needs.
Love it.
I think
Final
the other
thought.
aspect is other associations, other companies, conferences like we have coming up with you in March, but finding those partners as well, where they gives hospitality internships a platform or a space to make industry people aware that this exists. When I started as a general manager, I definitely saw the gap, and there still is a gap. And Tim spoke to this much earlier in our conversation today, and saying that he helped develop internship programs for companies that needed it. And I would think after so I don't want to tell you how many years I've left industry and gone into academia, that we would have solved this, but we haven't. And that is part of our continuous circle of challenge. And I know Tim and Lisa are working on other opportunities within their platform to support those employers that need that guidance. And that's another piece, because again, they're seeing that need. I know I wanted to create an internship manual when I was in the industry before I got into teaching, saying I want to take interns, but my colleagues don't know how to give them a meaningful learning experience. And we don't want students to have an experience where they have to be the copier maker, the coffee runner. We want them to be able to get their hands wet and dirty and have a meaningful experience. In one of my many previous institutions, I did the senior internship program. And my students had an internship for an entire semester in the fall, and they had to work 40 hours and then also take one class with me. And that was a very structured program. And I wish other institutions and other employers would embrace that opportunity. Now, most of those students were almost all, I think they had a 90 or 95% employment placement ratio because they had invested in the time to develop a good program and then were able to vet those candidates that they had come through, and they were then able to offer those students positions upon graduation. And that's what we want to be able to see, that propelled momentum.
I couldn't agree more with you. You know, it's kind of like the Navy P code. Okay. You know, we used to do job fairs in the 60s, the 70s, and so on. And, you know, the P code comes in, goes out of style, it comes back in again, it leaves, it comes back.
It's just a classic.
Yeah, and these are things that you need to do. Now, okay, I graduated from high school in the early 70s, okay? So I grew up with all of that. Now, my son, who just turned 43, didn't necessarily have a lot of that at the high school level. It was more when he was in college. Now, are you guys going to high schools at all? It's summer internships and training programs and all of that as well, or is it strictly like from college forward?
Yeah, we have a number of partnerships and are looking to expand more. I think for us at the association level, there are a number of state associations, our partner state associations, that have really great programs for pre-college at the high school level, some even at the middle school level, because the second somebody says high school or college is too late, somebody else says high school is too late. And so
Interesting.
so we'll be in preschool very soon, I'm sure, and we'll have some GMs coming right out of preschool because they'll know operations. It's like, I can see it now. There's going to be an apprenticeship for that. And then there's
that's funny.
There's like National Academy Foundation. There's DECA that does really great things. My middle child just started high school this year, and she was going through all the clubs that are an opportunity, and DECA was one of them, and that was great to see because they have a really robust hospitality kind of educational program within that. So I think we need groups and organizations that are focusing on that and thinking of innovative ways, because we think college students are scattered all over the place with what they could possibly be.
Yeah.
High school students, now we're only talking about Gen Z in the workforce. We're not even talking about Gen Alpha yet. They're coming up quickly, and that's going to be the next focus. I can't even imagine how they're going to be described, but there is a lot I think we need to do. And kind of going back to our earlier our point, I just want to say I've kept hearing for the past 2 years we have a marketing problem, and I think we also have an education problem, not academia per se, but like you said, brands, owners, and management companies, college students don't know that that's what this industry is made of. Mm-hmm. High school certainly don't know. The general public absolutely doesn't know, right? They think you walk into a Marriott and Marriott operates everything, that they are Marriott employees, right? And so that was something I had to learn, anybody who comes into the industry. But if we don't start, and we're facing this on the legislative side with policymakers, they want to regulate and create policies that impact this industry when they have no idea who they're actually affecting. They don't know that it's actually owners affected by that. It's not IHG and it's not Sonesta. It's, who they think that they're impacting. And so I think we have to start at the very fundamentals of educating people on what this industry actually is versus what people think it is. Because then you realize that the GM is not the ultimate CEO. There's a whole other world of corporate and all of these opportunities. But if you don't understand that, and so I think that's where getting to middle school and high school to even just get people excited about what this industry is and therefore what you can do in it has to start.
I'm going to add a little context there, Craig, for just a moment into Anna's point about middle school. And this is where a lot of our industry folks don't comprehend that. And so a lot of the way the high school curriculum has changed is they have CTE programs, continuing technical education programs. And those programs, the students in their freshman year, typically, sometimes in their sophomore year, but most often in their freshman year, are selecting what track they want to invest their time in while they're in high school. And so when they're making those decisions at freshman year, they don't understand what our industry is. And so that's where I've spent a lot of time recruiting into the middle school level to just start educating what are the aspects and those engaging fun aspects to what our industry is, to start to make that transition and make that peak. And without those connections and without that fundamentals like Anna is talking about as to what is hospitality in general, we are going to continue to struggle.
I couldn't agree more with you. Okay, before we wrap this up, I want to bring something up. All right. Glenn Hausman is going to be joining Tim, Anna, Lisa on stage at CLIC 8 along with Dr. Producer Suzanne to continue this conversation. This is a very important subject. And Anna, I want to talk to you about Hawaii. But, you know, this is a problem or a challenge or an opportunity that we can all participate in and help our industry. That's what we need to do. We need to help with our messaging. We need to get things out there. The hospitality business is the best business in the world. Contrary to being born and raised in California, it is not the film, TV, or record industry. It is hospitality. Because we've got the entertainment component as part of it, okay? But it's real estate, it's law, it's taxes, it's management, it's labor. It goes on and on. When I worked for a publicly held company, I was constantly explaining to the sales force that, you know, the next time you're in a hotel, you should thank the front desk or the GM or the manager or somebody else. We pay more in taxes than any other company. You look at sales tax, you look at TOT tax, you look at the real estate taxes. And because of all of those taxes that we pay, your taxes on your home are typically lower because we help support the police, the fire, the EMTs, curbs, gutters, sewers, and so much more in every city across the country. This is the best industry in the world, and you can go global if you want to. So I thank you all so very much for this time today. I want to start with Lisa and Anna. I'm going to give you the last word. What's the one thing you want the audience to know about the hospitality internship programs and how we can help our industry take care of itself and grow?
Well, I think that if you're not an industry partner, definitely look us up and see how you can get involved with our organization. If you're not involved in AHLA, definitely get involved with that as well. And if you're a student or an educator, please see how we can support your students and your university or your college or your high school so that we can really make meaningful connections so that we can continue to grow our incredible industry and provide it with the talent that it deserves.
Tim?
All right. I would say that we're on the verge of something really big here, and we are so blessed by the partnerships with AHLA and so many other state organizations that we're really bringing everything together right now, bringing a lot of different players together right now who are all committed to doing the right thing and to investing in the future leaders of our industry. So as Lisa said, get in touch with us, and we'll do anything we can to help you in your organization to succeed.
Suzanne?
I am just thrilled to be able to help support the industry by bringing amazing people together. And so that's what the spider web of this network is all about. And together we can continue to bridge those gaps.
Outstanding. Anna?
I would echo everything. I think this is such a unique platform. There's a lot of job sites that exist that get messy and hard to find things. And this was streamlined intentionally and very much on purpose to make finding these types of programs easy for students and also to find young talent, which our industry complains that they don't have time and time again. There is now this platform that has been created by these incredible people to give that to you on a platter. And so I think this is, as Tim said, it's such an incredible opportunity. We're on to something big. And again, we are just grateful to partner.
Absolutely. I thank you all so much for joining the conversation on CLIC Connect today, and can't wait to have you back. But I am really excited to be able to shake hands with everybody and say hi to you on March 5th and 6th, 2025 at the 8th Annual California Lodging Investment Conference. And right now, registration's open. You get a $200 discount. You use the word early, all uppercase. So get that deal going, join us and meet everybody. Somebody has a birthday, but I'm not going to say it's Anna's, but there could be something special going on that day.
I'm excited.
If you guys could all wait in the green room for me, I'm going to close the show out. Thank you very much for being here. You can get a hold of all of our guests today via LinkedIn or me, and I will get your messages off to Lisa, Tim, Dr. Producer Suzanne, and Anna. Thank you all very much.
Thank you.
Thanks.
What a great show. I love this. We got to have him back. We got to do another follow-up on this. Get involved. Help the industry that has been so good to you and I. Make it grow. Bring in the brightest and the best. We've got a great reputation of doing that. This is the best industry to be involved with. So thank you for joining me today. And, I also need to thank our production partners. Red Roof Franchising has been with us from the very beginning. And, Matt Hostetler and his team there have been great, but also Matt and his team are founding sponsors of the California Lodging Investment Conference. You can register at CLIconference.com, get that early special, and call Matt Hostetler over at Red Roof Franchising. Let him know that producer Danny and I sent you. He'd love to hear from you. They've got a soft brand. They've got their extended stay and, of course, their world-famous economy brand. So give Matthew a call. Let him know that producer Danny and I sent you. Thank you for joining us today. And you know what? Be kind. Share your knowledge. Go be amazing.